Hey there, gaming fans! Welcome to my channel, Addicted Gaming Geek. I'm your host, The Addicted Gamer. So today we have day 4 of my Sanctuary arc. So far I've completed 3 videos, and let's see what is in store for today. So let's just skip straight through here. Yeah, we can skip this straight through. I think we've watched this more than enough times. Okay, so I've managed to S-rank every single episode, which that is so awesome. And today we have 3 more fights, and it's against Aquarius and Aphrodite, which is also the Palace of Pisces, and our friend Capricorn. Okay, so if we follow the episodes the same way as it transpired within the anime, or the manga for that matter, the first fight would be Sirju against Capricorn. If not mistaken, then it will be Camus versus Yoga, and finally Andromeda versus Aphrodite. So the most recent happenings within the anime and obviously within the game is that obviously Sirju rescued Hyoga from the ice prison when Camus did the Absolute Zero technique, and all our friends on Saints are running towards the next palace, which is or temple, better said, which is manned by Capricorn. And here they come. So the same as Cancer Death Mask and as we will see later Pisces, which is the god saint of Aphrodite, Shura actually knew that the Pope was evil, but he decided to obey his orders regardless. And you will see later on in the fight, I'm not sure if it's depicted, but definitely within the anime, he doesn't really care that he's not representing or protecting Athena anymore. He believes that power makes right, and that no one should or no one is qualified to judge anyone, even though the Pope was evil. If he's using his power, that is everything that matters. But obviously during the fight you will see that, as it tends to happen, Shiro is able to convince him otherwise by his sheer will and his sheer effort. Yeah, obviously the Saints are learning now, as we already knew from a very first introduction in day 1 of the Let's Play walkthrough. That's, Capricorn was the one which dealt the final blow on Aeolus when he was trying to save Athena from the clutches of the Pope. And that is what obviously they're discussing now. This was actually a very cool part in the actual anime. If you haven't watched the anime until now, I highly recommend it. I mean, all the episodes are particularly awesome, but this fight in particular is really, really cool. And in fact, one of my videos in my match to Sirju, of minutes I dedicate to this fight, because Sirju actually sacrifices himself, or at least attempts to sacrifice himself, using the forbidden technique which was taught by his master to try to defeat Sirju. Okay, so finish with a big bang attack. That shouldn't be too bad. Let's do this. Let's see if I get lucky and get at least an S or an A. Okay, time to focus. Charging up my Cosmos as always. Must remember to try to get him with a big bang attack at some point. Obviously I'll try to get him much lower in health so I can actually finish him off when I actually do my big bang attack. And remember guys, I am playing in hard difficulty, which is the hardest difficulty available. So, more credit to me for trying to get S ranks. Okay, so I think it's a good moment now to try to break his block and get the S rank. I have my 7s. Yeah, here we go. And let's see if I'm lucky. Just gonna try to combine, break, and let's see if I'm lucky. And I did. Awesome. This is the famous Rosen attack, which he also calls forth the dragon, which is also reflective of his bronze armor. And my first win of the day. Let's see what I got. Yeah, awesome, S rank. Great. And obviously I did the requirements. Okay, so what's happened now, I'm trying to condense the videos a bit more. Shadow has actually broken Shiru's armor, and we obviously fighting him a second time. See if I can get him with a second big bang attack. It's proven a bit harder than before. Yep, and I do. Okay, cool. And obviously the big bang attack is just used. It's exactly the same as the anime when he tries to sacrifice himself, but Miro actually saves him and Shura. Okay, a B rank, not too great, but hopefully I'll balance that with the S rank and let's see what I get. Yep, and here we go. So this is exactly the same as the anime. So Shiro is about to unleash his ultimate attack, which is Rosen Korayu-ha, and obviously they both go up in the sky to their apparent death, and the idea behind it was that the Gold and Bronze Saint would both die from the explosion when he intensifies his cosmos to the maximum level. And the Gold Saint now is obviously quite horrified about Shiro's unbreakable will, and you know how hard he's fought, and obviously his willingness to throw his life away, and the same as has happened with other saints, the sheer will of a Bronze Saint to to sacrifice himself for Athena, for the love, love, justice, and peace in the name of Athena. Shiro begins to realize, how worthy the Bronze Saints are, and he actually laments the fact that Shiro is gonna die, and begins to try to convince Shiro that he should release him, not to grant him any clemens, but that he has obviously a bigger role to play in the Sanctuary arc and in the defense of Athena. But as I mentioned before anyway, Miro actually intervenes in the anime and the manga and stops and prevents them from sacrificing themselves, or at least Shiro sacrificing himself trying to kill Shouda. So they both are actually alive, even though obviously in the game and at this point in the anime we're led to believe that they both died in a tragic death. So the Bronze Saints cannot send Shiryu's cosmos anymore, and for them, as far as they're concerned, he's dead. Okay, so great, even though I got a B for my second encounter because I got an S rank to begin with, it balanced out as an S, so far all S ranks. Okay, so yeah, Andromeda was the last encounter, the second one being Hyoga versus Aquarius, which is obviously the Crystal Saints Master Camus. So basically, obviously, if you've watched my other Let's Play walkthroughs, Hyoga was imprisoned in a frozen prison when Camus did the Absolute Zero technique. Libra manifested itself, and Shiryu used his master's sword to break the ice prison, and Andromeda used his cosmos to save Hyoga by transmitting warmth onto his body and reverting the freezing process. So now our heroes have reached Aquarius Temple, and now Hyoga is going to face off against his master for a second time. Obviously, as is usually the case, the saint informs the other saints to progress into other temples, because obviously remember that it's a race against time. I haven't mentioned this for quite a while, but also the clock is actually moving slowly and the flames are actually extinguishing, getting ever so close to Athena's death, whereby obviously the golden arrow will eventually pierce her heart fully and kill her. So it is definitely a race against time, so they don't have a luxury of a couple of saints to face off against one gold saint. It has to be a one-on-one, so that each one can actually progress very quickly one temple to the next. Okay, so second match versus Camus. So let's see how I do. Achievement an A rank, and don't let the opponent use a big bang attack. Well, that would be a bit of luck, but I think I very easily can get an A rank, hopefully anyway. Let's see what happens. Anyway, time to focus. Let's see how I do. Need to try to get my Cosmos up, at least to a decent level. So worst thing you can do in this game is to go in, you know, very hungry to do damage, and you forget to charge up your Cosmos. So what thing you can do? You are left out. You know, you cannot teleport out from combat. You can't do any techniques. It's really the worst thing you can do. That is the strategy with this game. You have to balance out the damage you do, you know, and then when you can, you know, tap that button to get your Cosmos up. This is what I'm doing now. You know, you get into combat, you hit your opponents, and then you increase your Cosmos every single opportunity you can. It's the best thing you can do. And let's see if I'm able to catch him with my big bang attack. Let's see if I'm lucky. I'm gonna try to... Yep. Diamond Dust. This was what made Saint Seiya. I was about to say Caballero de los Zodiaco, which is the Spanish name for Saint Seiya, which is the same. A rank, okay. Would have been nice to get an S rank, but at least I've met the minimum requirements. But yeah, I was about to say that you know, the big bang attacks was what made, amongst other things, but I would say, you know, the unique powers of every single saint made the appeal of Saint Seiya even more. You know, each one had their awesome, unique, special ability, which was very different to each other. You know, I compare perhaps the powers to, let's say, Dragon Ball, which is another very famous, obviously, anime, which is still running over and beyond Saint Seiya. And even though the powers were very unique, but since Dragon Ball was more about power levels, I would say, and different species. But you know, a fireball at the end of the day is a fireball. But as in Seiya, each hero had a very unique, very special, you know, skill or you know, or power, which made it extremely cool. So Camus obviously has frozen Hyoga again in the ice prison, but this time he's not having any of it, and he's obviously pushed his Cosmos up to extraordinary levels, and he's managed to break the ice prison for a second time, this time by himself. And Camus obviously is taken back by his ability. And obviously what he's saying right now is that he's managed to push his Cosmos to 273 degrees, which according to them is when people which or saints which have the ability to control, you know, ice powers, that is when they deem it to have reached absolute zero, which is the ultimate power that they can use. So okay, good. So my Cosmos is fully charged. That's cool. So yeah, so Hyoga has managed to awaken his 7th sense, and obviously he's going to hit back at Camus with his attack. In the actual anime, I mean, I should have mentioned this before, in the actual anime, Hyoga actually manages to freeze Camus's left shoulder, and apart from the fact of breaking through the ice prison, this is when Camus realizes that Hyoga has reached absolute zero. So let's see if I can get him with my big bang attack again. Obviously I'm fighting without my armor, which is generally the case when the Saints face off against the Gold Saints. The armor obviously gets shattered by the sheer power of the Gold Saints. The game is really awesome. I highly recommend it. Obviously, as I've mentioned previously, if you're a fan of Saint Seiya, obviously you are going to enjoy the game much more. Cool, and I got it with my big bang attack. And obviously this is Aurora Extinction before we did the Diamond attack. Usually what happens, as obviously if you watched previous games, or better said episodes that I've made, generally the first big bang attack is different to the second big bang attack. Cool, an S rank. Hopefully that will make me get an overall S rank for this episode. So Hyoga obviously is about to unleash Aurora Extinction technique. He's pushed himself to the brink of unconsciousness, and obviously you see right now that Camus is obviously taken back by Hyoga's sheer will, because he should have been unconscious and totally exhausted. But to his surprise, in fact Hyoga wakes up and mimics Aurora Extinction. Camus does his own Aurora Extinction, but Hyoga's technique, at least on this occasion, outpowers Camus's technique, and Hyoga ends up freezing Camus. And he freezes, Camus and the whole of the temple. Yeah, so they're gonna carry on going to the Palace of Pisces. So now, in the anime and the manga, Camus is actually frozen, and he comments that he's very pleased that Hyoga was able to reach such a power and activate his 7th sense, because he battled believing in himself, Athena and his friends. And it's a very sad moment, as I previously stated, is what I coin as a single tier moment. And Camus wished that he could have continued supporting Hyoga on the path of truth and justice, but obviously he lamented that he didn't have the power to do so. And Hyoga, freezing on his body, Aquarius falls to the floor. Unfortunately died, but happy that his mission on Earth was finished, and he was able to see his student reach at least the same power level, at least in technique, that he was able to reach. And obviously Camus was able to guide him to learn absolute zero technique. But sadly at the cost of his life. And Hyoga now is saying farewell to his master and thanking him for everything he's done. It's a very sad moment. And he falls to the ground completely exhausted. Obviously his comrades, Seiya and Pisces, believe he's dead, but he's not. He's just unconscious, and his cosmos is totally depleted to a point where they believe that he's not around any longer. Okay, so it's been extremely fun so far. We have one more episode to complete. Hopefully it can be the trifecta and I can accomplish 3 S ranks for today's mission. If my experience is anything to go by on, hopefully I will. But if not, not a big loss. I think I can manage not to get an S rank, or I can accept, better said, not to get an S rank at least on one of episodes. Okay, so we've reached the Palace of Aphrodite. Yeah, that's true. I mean, that was the idea behind Aphrodite. I mean, but the actual god Aphrodite in itself was very beautiful, and this was depicted and was the idea of Aphrodite, that she was also the Greek goddess of love and beauty, and obviously this was associated to the Pisces constellation. Ironically, Pisces or Aphrodite never claimed to be the most beautiful, but this was portrayed, especially through the Sanctuary arc. Of note, and if you read the manga, also the manga goes into much detail, even though it was portrayed that Aphrodite was incomparable in terms of beauty, he was not narcissistic. He was in fact very cruel, comparable to Deathmark, but not sadistic. I mean, Deathmark was very sadistic. I mean, just by, when we played the Deathmark episode, he had, the faces of his victims all laid out around his temple. Aphrodite was, I think, maybe conceited more than anything else. Cruel and conceited, maybe. I would describe as cruel and conceited rather than narcissistic and sadistic, which definitely Cancer was very sadistic, very cruel, an evil person. Okay, so win with at least 50%, and okay, so that shouldn't be too hard with Andromeda, obviously, because normal attacks actually with a change throw people on the floor, so hopefully that is not going to be too hard. And let's see if I can S rank this episode too. As you can see by Aphrodite's face and the hair, and obviously she's holding a rose. Some fans believe that Aphrodite is a female fan. In fact, I've been watching recently Saint with my son, and he was taken back when I said that Aphrodite was a man. He has red lips with which perhaps lipstick, and this the other. And if you watch the Spanish dubbing of Saint Seiya, they actually use a female actress for the voiceover. I mean, I think it's safe to say if Saint Seiya would have been done according to today's standard, Aphrodite would have probably been a transgender individual, or at least gay in nature. But still a very, very, very awesome, very, very cool character. I mean, hopefully after the battle, you'll be able to see some of Aphrodite's techniques. And awesome, I was able to do my Big Bang attack, and hopefully that will seal my S rank. Now all the Gold Saints, the same as all the Bronze Saints, were really, really awesome, really great. Each one really unique. A rank, okay. I thought I did better than that, but still, okay. And I managed to get the minimum requirements. Still not sure what I need to get in terms of S ranks. I mean, I've been getting all of them. Maybe I lost a lot of health, possibly. I don't know. Okay. So Aphrodite is about to use his Royal Demon attack, and the same as the previous fights, Andromeda's bronze armor or cloth is going to be shattered, as you can see here. of note, I mean, and those fans that haven't read the anime or haven't read the or haven't read the manga, sorry, or seen the anime, um, Andromeda holds a very deep secret which all the other saints don't have. In fact, instead of his bronze armor multiplying his cosmos, the Andromeda armor, in fact, how can I put this? Restricts the amount of cosmos, keeps it in check. So once his Andromeda armor was destroyed, his cosmos was just able to explode and reach new heights, which is different if you think about it. Generally, you know, you have your Bronze Saints, which manages to get hold and have a symbiotic relationship with his cloth, and then also together they grow together. Andromeda is totally different. He had a natural ability. His cosmos was naturally extremely high, just because, you know, he's one of those people which was destined to have an extremely high cosmos, and the Andromeda armor actually restricted the ability of him to actually tap into that to keep him in check. And once his cloth was destroyed, his power you know, was awakened. And soon, as you will be able to see now, and hopefully I will be able to do it within the actual episode, that's his secret attack, which is a Nebula Stream. So as a side note, for those that haven't read the manga or watched the anime and are just following my my weekly or my bi-weekly walkthroughs, so when Shun and Seiya reach the palace of Pisces, Shun decided to remain behind, as I've told you before, it's a race against time, and Seiya decided to venture into the Pope's Hall, but unaware, or at least unaware of the magnitude of what he was getting himself into, because between Pisces Temple and the Pope's Hall lies the Garden of Royal Demon Roses, which I don't want to say much, because considering that we have episodic narrated episodes between pivotal moments within the game, I'm sure that we'll be able to see exactly what happens to Seiya as he traverses through the Royal Demon Roses garden. But it was a very cool moment. And I'm gonna just focus now to see if I can get him with my Big Bang attack, and I can show you my Nebula Stream, and I do. So this is Andromeda's ultimate technique, Nebula Stream. And yep, KO'd him, and let's see how I do. If I manage to get an overall S, I would venture a guess and say yes. Great. So yeah, I managed to complete the triumvirate of 3 S ranks for today's episode, which again, awesome. And with that, I think I'll call today's episode. It's approximating half an hour. I think between 20 minutes and 30 minutes, you know, half an hour, I think it makes for good walkthroughs, not more than that, and any less it will be too quick. I don't know enough content. I mean, I feel anyway. If you guys think otherwise, please let me know. If you rather have 15 minutes episodes, please let me know. But I think, considering that I'm doing an episode every, I would say, between 6 and 8 days, I think half an hour gives you guys enough material for one sit down. You don't have to see the whole movie or the whole video, better said, in just one sitting. Okay, so what's happening now? Okay, yeah, I remember now. So within the anime, obviously, after Shun does his Nebula Stream attack, even though he tapped into his cosmos, he didn't really go 100%. Being Shun, he tried to show some mercy, some clemence to Aphrodite, and now Aphrodite is using his strongest attack, which is the Bloody Rose attack. And obviously Shun is forced to counter with his Nebula Storm. And obviously the battle ended by Shun killing Aphrodite. But not without obviously Shun being struck in the center of his heart by the Bloody Rose, and he falls into a near-death state, as depicted by obviously the rose, becoming red by his filled with Shun's blood. Yeah, as a side note, because obviously I don't think it's depicted within this arc, but obviously Shun is nursed back to health, and once we do the Poseidon arc and the Asta arc, obviously Shun will be back with his friends again. But he was pushed to the brink of death, that's for sure. Okay, so a lot of unlockables, and okay, so it's not a narrative episode, which I assumed we were going to have, but Marine faces off against Gemini. And yeah, I've managed to get S ranks for everything, which is awesome. And yeah, I think I'm gonna call it, even though I'm really tempted to play that extra episode. But I think it'll give me something to look forward to for the next episode. So as always, fans, thanks for watching, and hopefully you've enjoyed my video as always. So take care and goodbye.